All right, this is my 30,000 mile review on my 2019 Ram 2500. So, bottom line up front, no issues, no major issues. So I just changed my fuel filters, the oil, and the air filter. And when I say oil, I also mean oil filter as well. So I use Valvoline Premium Blue Extreme 5W40. It is authorized in the manual. I use a Mopar filter. I buy both my fuel filters, the engine and the chassis mount fuel filters, from Gino's Garage. A little bit cheaper that way. And the air filter is Mopar. I don't know if I said that already. But yeah, so no issues. I've already done videos on how to do the fuel filter change, particularly the chassis fuel filter. I've talked about the leveling the truck with the, those who have the airbag system. I talked about how to adjust the bed lines with the cab. Other than that, yeah, no issues. So I did get the transmission recall, and since then, truck runs smooth. Transmission is really smooth. Seems the more miles I get, the smoother it becomes. So truck is running really good. I do wish I had the 8 or 10 speed automatic, but that's okay. No complaints. Truck still drives very nice. So we'll do a little walk around, and so I do have 30,000 miles, and I've had no issues. I've talked about regeneration in the past, and the Ram Cummins Regeneration strategy is amazing. They really got that thing, the emission system, and the strategy of how to clean the emissions down pat. The truck does go through a lot of diesel exhaust fluid. I've heard the same on the 2020 Fords as well. They seem to use a lot more diesel exhaust fluid, and what that tells me is that the truck does use less EGR. And so I have an Easy Link, and I do monitor my emissions, and I monitor how much EGR is being pumped into the engine. And so what I've noticed with this truck versus the 18 Ram that I had is that the 19 Ram uses a lot less EGR. So when I'm driving, the EGR valve would be open maybe 18-20%, sometimes 30%. So that may seem like a lot, but it's really not compared to my 18 Ram. The 18, the EGR would be open anywhere between like 70 to 90%, sometimes 100%. The EGR valve would be open, and how much EGR is getting into the truck. So it does use a lot. It seems to use, from my monitoring with the Easy Link, a lot less EGR. But the sacrifice of that is I'm going through diesel exhaust fluid like every 2,000 miles. As in 2.5 gallons every 2,000 miles. I don't wait till the gauge gets to empty. When my diesel exhaust fluid gauge gets to half or a little bit before half, I just add 2.5 gallons. And that seems to be right around 2,000 miles. Sometimes 2,200 miles, just kind of depends. So I think I'm okay with that. If the truck uses less EGR at the sacrifice of adding more diesel exhaust fluid, I'm okay with that. Because as we all know, EGR is not the greatest thing for these engines, but they're built and designed to handle it, so it's all right. Also, I don't tow with this thing. Now, some people think they tow, but they only tow like a toy hauler or a travel trailer on the weekends during the summer. That's not towing. Towing is something like what PD Diesel Power does and Tow Piglet, the hot shot. That's towing, 20, 30,000 pounds with a 3500 with the ice and trans. That's towing. And they do it all the time, every day. So this truck, I used to have a trailer, but I don't anymore. But anyways, I use this truck. It's my daily driver. It's my own truck. And I've always driven a 2500 or an F250 type heavy-duty truck, diesel, always. And so I stick with what I know, particularly the Cummins engine. This is my 5th one. I could take these engines apart, put it back together with my eyes closed if I wanted to. That's how familiar I am with these trucks. And my point about talking about the emissions and this is my daily driver, is that, look, some people, if you want a heavy-duty truck with a diesel, don't be afraid of the emissions. Emissions are a good thing. Look, this thing produces nitrogen and water vapor out of that tailpipe. That's a good thing, okay? This truck gets better fuel mileage than my 99 5.9 non-emissions Cummins diesel. This thing produces more power, gets better fuel mileage, and in the end, I believe these trucks will last just as long or longer than the 5.9 pre-emissions. So PD Diesel Power is a great example. He has 400,000 or 500,000 miles on these trucks with emissions, okay, except for his limited, right? But his fleets, they for the most part that he's shown all have emissions. They go hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles. I typically keep my gauges, the diesel particulate filter gauge on, so that I can kind of monitor when my truck goes into an automatic regeneration cycle. I have never seen my diesel particulate filter gauge go beyond 0, never. And I do a lot of in-town driving during the week because I work on base. And yeah, I've never seen it get clogged, ever. It goes into an automatic regen anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 miles. And I believe that is so that the emission systems can be, it just maintains itself, so that it can keep itself clean. And that's a good thing. And you don't notice it. If I didn't keep that gauge or my screen on the diesel particulate filter gauge, I would never know the truck goes in the regen. And that's the whole point. Cummins and Ram has done a good job with these emission systems, and they're really seamless. Ford too, but Ford goes, at least the ones I had, the 19 and the 17, so I can speak on that. It went to regen every 500 miles, and it was really irritating. And when it did go into regen, it lasts up to like 40 minutes. That's really irritating. When my Ram goes in the regen, it lasts between 10 and 20 minutes, usually 13 minutes. 13 minutes seems to be the average, and that's not long at all. So, and that's really great. So if you want one of these trucks, go get you one. It's okay. You don't need to drive like a bat out of hell. You don't need to keep your exhaust brake on all the time, because one, that's dangerous, particularly in inclement weather. You don't want to keep the exhaust brake on when it's raining or when the roads are wet. That's dangerous. Trust me, your tires will slip out from underneath you. So if you want one, go get you one. Don't let the emissions scare you. Don't let the internet and those who are stuck 20 years in the past scare you. These emission systems, I'm not saying, if I could choose between, if I could have the ability legally to own one of these brand new trucks without emissions and be completely compliant with the law, I would love to have a truck without emissions, because I also, like a lot of others, I hate emission systems. But because we're stuck with them, it's okay, because I can't do anything about it without breaking the law. And it is a federal law, regardless if your county, state has emissions testing or not. It is federal, okay? So anyways, these trucks, modern emissions, they're okay. They do a great job, particularly Ram Cummins. They seem to they have it down packed, mainly because they keep the diesel oxidation catalyst and diesel particulate filter closer to the turbo, so it stays hotter. Unlike the Fords and GMs, they put the diesel particulate filter last in line. So it's like towards the back of the truck, where it's going to be a lot cooler versus keeping it closer to the turbo to keep it hot. But anyways, yeah, so sorry for the rant. It's just, you know, whatever. My video, my channel, I do what I want, right? I do what I want. I can say whatever I want, right? For the most part, without YouTube censoring people, you know, violating your First Amendment rights, but whatever. Emissions are okay. They're a good thing because it cleans up the environment. Look, nitrogen and water vapor is the only thing that comes out of that tailpipe. That's more cleaner than a Tesla. That's cleaner than a Tesla, people. Okay, the amount of crap that they go through to create those batteries, yeah, you should research that. It's not the greatest thing. But anyways, I've had no issues. 30,000 miles. It is a grocery getter. I don't have any issues. Truck gets really good fuel mileage. One of my last trips, I got 25 miles to the gallon. 25 miles to the gallon, hand calculated. Not what the computer told me. That's hand calculated, people. 25. I think it was like 25.2 or 3. That's really good. So, anyways, don't be afraid of these trucks. If you want one, don't let the internet and people who were stuck 20 years in the past scare you about emissions. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't any issues, because there's always issues. These trucks are man-made, okay? You're gonna have issues. But you maintain them, you use the correct oil, right? These modern diesels prefer a 10W30 or a 5W40, okay? Not 1540. Don't run 1540 in these diesels, particularly in the Fords. Don't do it, it's too thick, all right? Some of you who are also stuck 20 years in the past think, oh, 1540 is just fine. No, it's not. These engines are built to a much tighter tolerance, okay? 10W30 or a full synthetic 5W40 is what these trucks are recommended, or what they recommend, these manufacturers, okay? You want to make sure you use clean fuel, right? Don't just make sure you go to a place that rotates, they go through diesel often. So you're always getting a fresh batch of fuel. Stay on top of your maintenance. If you're manufacturer, I stick with what Ram says, right? Now, I've always done it since my 2011, right? This truck says 15,000 miles for oil change, so I will go 15,000 miles. Fuel filter changes, 15,000 miles. I will go 15,000 miles. Fords, the newer Fords, the fuel filter changes are actually 30,000 miles. You can go 30,000 miles on the new Fords. 30,000 miles of fuel filter changes. Now their oil is a little bit different, 7,500 or 10,000 miles, right? Depending on your drive cycle, okay? Now with the Fords, I will say, it does say 30,000 miles in the owner's manual. However, when I had my 19 and 17 Fords, I went 20,000 miles. Just a little peace of mind. But anyways, stay on top of your maintenance, use the correct oil, use the correct filters. Don't go buy no Wix filter out there, okay? Use the proper filters, all right, the authorized filters, okay? And if you do that, your truck will last you for a very long time, and you shouldn't see any issues, okay? I say you shouldn't, right? But anyways, if you want one, don't let people stuck in the past scare you, and just go get you one.